This is the 7-point mind training is one of the really well-known mind training texts. There's several mind training texts. It's a whole genre of teachings. And this one, I don't know, it's usually the one you start out with. At least it's the one I started out with. And I can tell you it had a very profound effect on my life, and it still does, because the teachings in this text, especially once we get to the third to the 7th point, are really talking about daily life, Dharma practice, working with your emotions, and transforming adversity into the path. And adversity comes even when we don't want it, especially when we don't want it, which is all the time, we don't want it. And problems come uninvited, they show up, and our usual reaction is, I don't like this, get it away, why me, poor me. And, we usually generate a lot of afflictions with regard to adversity and problems and not getting what we want, and people not listening to us and all this. And of course, Americans now, oh my goodness, the government, and they're firing the people who work for the nuclear the people who are looking over the nuclear weapons, they got fired. And then Doge realized, oh, that wasn't so good to fire those people, and rehired them. So we have just a little bit of chaos in the country now. Not to mention, that we're that what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on with Ukraine, that the whole alignment of allies in the Western world is being changed and challenged, and that because dear Donnie, is in love with Putin, and and we're all going, what? Where am I? What in the world is happening? And I've done some study. I majored in history. I can't remember any dates for this and that, but what I did remember was, how people respond to things together, and what different movements there are in different countries. And having studied Russian history a lot and Chinese history, especially the modern history, and how authoritarian governments got established. We are on the road to that. So this is a big problem, that influences many people, as a country, as groups of people. And if it doesn't already influence you personally, it soon will, because the price of eggs is the what do you say? The bellwether of the economy now. I've never thought much about the price of eggs, but that's in the newspaper. It's a massively discussed topic. So, so here's the situation. We have no, control over it. It would be nice to be, Elon just kind of went into the government and said, I'm here, now you're going to follow me. But if I went into the government and said, I'm here, now you're all going to follow me, sit down, cross your legs, look at your breath, we're going to talk about compassion. I think they would chase me out of the room. So, how do we deal with this? on an individual level, keeping a happy mind, keeping a balanced mind? How do we deal with it in relation to all the people in our communities and families and monasteries and dharma centers? And how do we as groups of people deal with this? So this kind of teaching on the 7-point mind training is really, really useful for that. For how to keep a dharma perspective in when there's problems. So when I have problems, because believe it or not, I do. A lot of them are sitting here. So, it's always been this teaching that I turn to, how to work with my mind, how to balance my mind, how to deal with it when it's like freaking out because of something, or freaking out because I'm not getting what I want, freaking out because I'm getting what I don't want. So this is the teaching that really helps to settle the mind and make the experience useful and transform it into an experience that helps us develop the good qualities that, as Buddhist practitioners who want to develop, the qualities that we'll need to attain liberation and awakening. So this mind training is a special genre of teachings. It kind of stemmed from the Kadampa Geshes, who were students of Atisha. And so they lived in Kadampa Geshes. Atisha was like 10th century, Kadampa Geshes, 11th, 12th century. And the way they practiced, I always really, really admired, because they didn't shy away from things, and they were very, very direct in their approach, kind of like how Shantideva in his Guide to a Bodhisattva's Deeds, so direct, not messing around, and I like that approach. So when I've had problems and or the mind is unhappy, or you wonder what in the world you're doing, this is kind of my go-to teachings. And also because my Lama Zopa Rinpoche so really emphasize this again and again and again. And well, he had a special way whenever you came to him and you wanted some pity or understanding, or for him to say, oh, you did such good work, too bad those people, who were jerks, they didn't appreciate you. You want that kind of nice ego-pleasing thing. Rinpoche never gave it to you. He said, good. You're having a problem? Fantastic. So I'll give you some stories about what he did. And it makes you turn your mind to the Dharma and to oppose the self-centered thought and the self-grasping ignorance, which are the two things that, are the major sources of all of our misery to start with. So these teachings in thought training, instead of pushing away, I don't like these situations because I don't like being angry. I don't like having attachment. I don't like what these people are doing. To be able to say, okay, all of this is happening. How am I going to use it to help me cultivate the path? Yeah. And it's not too difficult, the meditations are there. The difficult part is developing the habit of remembering these techniques and then doing them. And developing the habit comes from doing the meditations in our own daily practice. Yeah. And really working with them. And at first, we don't like these teachings. Yeah. Because we want pity or appreciation or understanding. A little bit of praise wouldn't do us any harm. Somebody intervening and telling that jerk who's bothering us to quit it. We would like that. But instead, these teachings are saying, oh, you're self-centered. And self-centeredness is your enemy. And we go, no, it's not. I like my self-centeredness, and then you quote, what's the famous line? If I don't stick up for myself, nobody else is going to stick up for me. It's something like that. Remember? Yeah. If I don't remember the exact words, but that's the meaning of it. My self-centeredness is the cause of my happiness. It's my friend. It makes me, look at how deserving I am and how wonderful I am, and okay, and pushes me to get what I want. So let's hear it for self-centeredness. And anyway, yeah, self-centeredness, the scientists tell us we're hardwired to be self-centered. That little thing in the back called an amygdala, in the brain stem. Whenever we face threat, we have fight or flight. What a wonderful response to staying alive. You have a threat, so you either attack back. That really solves problems, doesn't it? Yeah. You attack back. Of course, they attack back to you, and then you attack, and they attack, and you're in a war. But never mind, you stood up for yourself. Yeah, that's how self-centered. So we either attack back, fight, or flight, we run away. Okay, and don't deal with it. Stick our head in the sand and pretend the problem doesn't exist, or have a pity party. Yeah, and that's all due to the self-centered thought, and we just listen to the self-centered thought. It's the captain of the show. It's the one that tells us what to do day and night. Yeah. It's the self-centered thought is the one that came up with our rules of the universe. Yeah. Which I'll get into later. But, Lama Zopa had absolutely no sympathy for the self-centered thought. He never sided with it. He always said, oppose that one. And you're going, but Rinpoche, can't I have what I want first? And then I'll think about the disadvantages of being self-centered, which of course we wouldn't, because we got what we wanted. Okay. So he really made us practice this, and I am extremely grateful for that. Yeah. It kind of was my lifesaver, especially after my sangha, my ordeal with the macho Italian monks and how they ripped me to shreds. So, yeah. So we better do our prayers before I go on and on about the self-centered thought, which I usually do, don't I? Yes, I'm very familiar with it. It's a very good friend, so I can tell you all about my self-centered thought, and that brings me great pleasure because I'm talking about my favorite topic of conversation, me. And my, and that's the most interesting thing to talk about, don't you think? Yeah, don't you love to hear about my, me, I, my, and mine? Yours is really boring. Your problems, ugh, why are you making such a big deal about these things? Just get over it. My problems, world shattering, national disaster level. Yeah. So you'll get to hear all about him during these teachings on the 7-point mind training. Okay, so we're going to start out taking refuge, generating bodhicitta. Yeah, self-centered thought doesn't like refuge and bodhicitta. Self-centered thought says, I am your refuge, rely on me. Okay, and get rid of bodhicitta. Cherish others? No. Okay. It doesn't like refuge and bodhicitta. Mm-mm. But this is how we start out. Okay, so think of the Buddha in the space in front, surrounded by all the other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And us surrounded by all the sentient beings, all of whom have been kind to us in one way or another. So all the problems we have due to our self-centered thought, all other living beings have those same problems due to their self-centered thought. And the self-grasping ignorance plays a part in this too, reifying the I. So how fortunate we are to have met the Buddhist teachings, which teach us how to deal with these wrong views and how instead to cultivate virtuous views and good states of mind. So let's take advantage of the circumstances we have and pay attention and learn and practice these teachings. Not just so we can be happy, but seeing that, as I mentioned before, everybody has this same problem. If we can practice the thought treating teachings, others benefit because we stop doing harmful things that adversely impact them. And they benefit indirectly because by practicing these teachings, we are creating merit, creating wisdom. We're on the path to Buddhahood. And we want to become Buddhists so that we can really repay the kindness of all the sentient beings who, just like us, their whole wish is just to be happy and avoid pain. So with that kind of motivation, let's share in the teachings today. So I gave a couple of talks to Dharmakaya Center about thought training last year or the year before, whenever it was. And unfortunately, I don't remember exactly the points that I covered in that talk. So I figured if I don't remember, you probably don't either. So we'll start at the beginning of the text. And, I really have an aspiration to get through the text in the 4 talks today, tomorrow, and then next Saturday and Sunday. But I'm a little bit like Lama Zopa in that I start talking about something and I often don't get to the end of whatever text we're supposed to do unless there's more and more sessions. But I will do my best. Okay, so okay. Okay, so it's a text by Geshe Chekawa. And His Holiness, I also received this not only from Lama Zopa, but from His Holiness. And he said he received this teaching from Kyabje Ling Rinpoche, who was his senior tutor. Okay, so there's 7 points in it. Yeah. So I'll just read the names of the 7 points so you can get an idea of where we're going, and then we'll start with the first. So the first one is the preliminaries. So this refers to if you're thinking about the Lamrim, the lower and middle scopes of practitioners, or if you're thinking in terms of the meditations that you do, it would be precious human life, impermanence and death, karma and its effects, and then the disadvantages of samsara. Okay, then the second point of the 7 is the main practice. So this covers realizing the teachings on wisdom, realizing emptiness, and it covers how to generate bodhicitta, conventional bodhicitta. And this teaching is so patient on your computer. Oh, okay, it's behaving itself right now. Then the third point is called changing adverse circumstances into the path. And this one, is fantastic. Okay. And the fourth point is called elucidating a lifetime practice. So how you practice the thought training while you're alive, and then how you practice it when you're dying. Then the 5th point is the measure of having transformed your thoughts. So how do we assess how our practice is going on the, on the thought training? What's the measure? Then the 6th is the commitments of thought training. So some of the things that we have to be sure to practice. Yeah. And then the 7th is the instructions of thought training. So again, a whole list of the 6th and 7th points are just very short phrases, very pithy, that have very deep meaning about how to practice. Okay, so those are the 7 points. We will start all over at the beginning. I kind of plan to go through the first 2 points rather quickly, assuming that many of you have had teachings on emptiness before, or also, precious human life, impermanence and death, karma, disadvantages of samsara, how to generate bodhicitta, a little bit about emptiness. So I'm kind of assuming that the people at Dharmakaya, yeah, with that kind of title, with that kind of name of your Dharma center, you guys must be very advanced practitioners. So I think you've heard this. So that's why I want to go quickly. Okay, so the preliminaries. So with the preliminaries, it's really important to have a big mind that understands the Buddhist worldview, okay? And it's by understanding the Buddhist worldview that then the teachings on thought training make sense. If we don't understand that, then the teachings seem like self-flagellation, okay, which they aren't. So this big view is one of multiple lifetimes, okay? That when we say, I'm alive, what that means is there's a body and a mind that are in relationship to each other. And we call that a person. Yeah. So how did this body and mind come to be in relationship to each other? Yeah. It wasn't because of God. Yeah, in Buddhism, there's no God, there's no creator. Because if there were a creator, then we should protest against the creator because he's kind of made a mess. Yeah. So, yeah, he created, well, I'm not going to go into a refutation of God right now, but there's many refutations of a creator. If you want to hear it, you can do in the Q&A, you can bring that up. Okay? So, yeah, life is the body and mind being conjoined. Death is when they split apart. Okay? Now, they both have continuums. Yeah, when we die, yeah, the body doesn't go out of existence immediately. Yeah, it decays, and then the elements that constituted the body, they become the worms eat them or the birds eat them. Things get recycled in nature. Yeah, because the body by its nature is something physical, it's material. The mind, the consciousness is not material. Yeah, it's something that is clear and cognizant. So it has no color, no shape, but it's really important. Yeah? So the mind has its continuum too. When we die, yeah, body and mind separate, body gets recycled in nature, and mind goes on to the next life. If you're a samsaric being whose mind is overwhelmed by ignorance and afflictions and polluted karma, we go on to the next life. Yeah. Where did this karma come from? Karma simply means actions. Yeah. And it refers, okay, to the actions of our body, speech, and mind. We tend to look at just actions of body and speech. Yeah. And it's really important to look at the mind that lies behind these actions, because our motivation is a very key element in terms of what makes an action beneficial or not, yeah, virtuous or not. And when our mind is afflicted, in other words, when it is under the control of ignorance, Yeah. So ignorance doesn't just mean that you didn't vote for the correct candidate, because there's only one correct candidate who happens to be the one I voted for. Ignorance doesn't mean that you didn't vote that way. Ignorance doesn't mean that you don't know how to spell. Ignorance here means that we do not understand how we exist and how everything around us exists. And not just that we don't understand, but we have a wrong understanding. Okay? We think that everything has its very own nature that makes it what it is. Yeah. And so, with regard to the self, we think that there's a real me. I'm here. I'm some independent entity. Yeah. And so, based on that grasping at a real strong self that actually, sorry to tell you, doesn't exist, but we think it does. Yeah, based on that, then there's attachment to the self, and we look outside for what gives us pleasure, what gives the self pleasure, and we're grasping at this and that and the next thing. And whatever interferes with our pleasure, then we have anger and, animosity towards it. Get rid of it. Yeah. So we think our happiness comes from outside of us, and we think our pain and suffering comes outside. And so, what's the solution if everything comes from outside? To change outside. And so we go through our life. Yeah, I don't like this, then I want to change it so it becomes something I like. So I bully people, I manipulate them, I talk them into doing things they don't want to do. I bribe them, I lie to them, I might even threaten them physically. Whatever I need to do to get what I want, because I'm attached to the self, I do. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that I do it overtly, because then I wouldn't have a good reputation. So I manipulate people, I bribe them, I threaten them in a very discreet way. Well, not so much with the threats, but I try I can do discreet threats too, like a dirty look. Yeah. So I try and change outside, make everybody do what I want them to do, be what I want them to be, because outside is the source of all the world's problems. If people only listened to my advice and did what I said, then we wouldn't have wars, we wouldn't have problems, right? This is, when we're attached to the self, this is what we think. When the self-centered mind comes up, this is its constitution. Yeah, I am entitled to do whatever I want because I am a real person and my happiness and suffering come from outside, and I'm the most important one in the universe. So, look out, everybody. You are my pawns. Yeah. I know this sounds terrible to say out loud like this, doesn't it? Like we're all dictators and manipulating other people as if they're just pawns on the chessboard of life. But if you really stop and look when your mind's afflicted, do you do this? Yeah. This is the first thing we have to recognize, we recognize our suffering. Yeah. Buddhism doesn't need to teach us that. We know when we're unhappy. Yeah. But we don't know what the cause of our unhappiness is. And we think it's outside, that we're just innocent victims who are so benevolent and we really mean well. It's just other people misunderstand us. Right? Yeah, that's because they're so stupid. If they only followed my advice. So, yeah. So we live our life like this, and then trying to be happy, trying to change the world and everybody around us, and nobody cooperates. Yeah, they don't cooperate, do they? Yeah, I mean, even you threaten them. Yesterday there was a cabinet meeting, in which there was some between cabinet members and Muskie. Yeah. So, and Donnie was threatening, and Muskie was threatening, and a few people actually pushed back. Can you believe it? Yeah. Most of them didn't, but a couple did. Yeah. But that's what we're like. I mean, they are just very open about their self-centeredness and their threats and da 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 da. Okay. I am much more discreet and well-mannered. Yeah. So I learn how to manipulate. What to say. Yeah. When I want to get something from you. Like, oh, gee, yeah, I really like chocolate chip cookies. Yeah, they're my favorite cookie. Do you like chocolate chip cookies too? Yeah, when was the last time you had them? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's nice. We like the same thing. Okay. Did I ask you to do anything? No, I was very polite. Did I hint at what you should do? You bet. Did you get the hint? Yeah. Because if you turn up here without chocolate chip cookies, there's going to be some problems. Yeah. So, we have ways of saying things, ways of doing things to, yeah. And then when those fail, then you adopt Donnie's technique, which is you just trash the person. Yeah. You criticize them, you insult them to their face, you degrade them to their face. You do that, like it says in the 37 practices of awakening. If somebody announces all your bad qualities to the 3,000 worlds, so not just on Truth Social and not just on X, but to 3,000 worlds, and they hear all your faults, everything you did wrong. So we do that too. Yeah, ruin somebody else's reputation behind their back. Yeah, or to their face. Yeah, who do you blow up at and speak the harshest to their face? Loved ones. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Who are the people that we are the meanest and cruelest to with our speech? The people we care about the most. Oh, makes perfect sense, right? Well, this is the logic behind it. My happiness comes from outside, so you better do what I want and make me happy. And when you don't do this, then you're the source of my problems. And for your benefit, because I am very compassionate, then I tell you what you do wrong. Yeah, because that way you can improve. Yeah. And it's so good to do with Dharma practitioners because they already are saying, I want to, change. I want to get rid of my faults. So I help them in case they don't notice their faults. Like, why did you leave this mess on the counter? Yeah. What are you doing? You don't follow the schedule. How come you're doing this? This does not make any sense. You are not treating people here right. That means me. Okay? So I just, out of compassion, because they didn't get it when I dropped hints and when I flattered them, then I do it outright. Okay? And if they still don't get it, yeah, because they fight back, which they always do, the first thing they say is, but you don't understand. This is da 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 da. And they tell me their whole story, which is always, they're so self-centered and misinterpreted everything. These people. So I hope you people at Dharmakaya understand the way I teach. Otherwise, you're going to think I'm a horrible person. Well, I am, but yeah, I try and I give our self-centeredness a voice, where it can be frank, and our self-grasping can be frank and out there. It doesn't need to do clandestine bombing. It can do it outright. Yeah. So, if flattery, dropping hints don't work, yeah, then I tell you outright, out of compassion, how you can improve. Yeah. And if that still doesn't work, then I talk to everybody else around you. Like if we work in an office place, I will tell everybody else what you need to do to improve so that they can, help you along. So, did you know what so and so did? I can't believe it. This person, so negligent. We were counting on them. They didn't come through. They did the opposite. Have they ever done that to you? Yes, they did. How can somebody like that work in the same office as us? Oh, I just don't understand it. Okay? And so we create our own little bubble of people who agree with us, yeah, that this person is the black sheep. You're all my friends because you agree with me, and that person is the evildoer. Yeah? And I made sure you knew how terrible they were. So then, I think, well, if everybody else knows, then they will give you some pressure to, do what you should do, which is what I want you to do. That is your mission in life, according to my self-centeredness. Okay, so with this kind of mental attitude, then we say things, we do things, we sit and devise plans how to gain our revenge. Yeah. Donnie spent 4 years contemplating how to get his revenge, and he's doing it. Yeah? So we don't spend we spend our whole lifetimes thinking about that. Yeah. But and I should say, I talk about Donnie and Muskie, not because I hate them, but because they're very good examples for what we're talking about. And because they're examples everybody knows, everybody sees. Yeah. So that's why I use them. How I relate to them on an individual level, yeah, is as the thought training teachings instruct us with compassion. Yeah. But I talk about them because we can identify with them, even though it's kind of uncomfortable. Although some people say, that's my man. Yeah, I want to be like Donnie. Donnie. That's how you say Donnie when you talk with the funny way, like I do. Donnie. Yeah. So, yeah. So we create actions. Body, speech, mind. That leaves imprints in our mind. Yeah. At the time of death, yeah, some of those imprints will ripen. Yeah. We have some virtuous imprints in there too. Yeah. But the imprints will ripen, and then they make us attracted to different kinds of realms of existence. Yeah. So sometimes people wonder, well, how can you be a human being and then in your next life be born as an animal? Well, sometimes we say about somebody who's acting poorly that they're acting like an animal. Yeah, you ever heard that expression? Yeah. I remember being a kid, and when we misbehaved, you kids are like wild animals. Well, it's true. We were, running around the house, doing whatever. Okay. But adults, especially, when we say that person acts worse than an animal. Yeah. And human beings sometimes do. Yeah. Animals kill only if they're threatened or hungry. Human beings kill out of sport. Human beings kill because they want power or they want reputation or whatever it is. Yeah. So sometimes human beings act worse than animals. If that's the kind of imprint we're putting on our mind as human beings, then it isn't surprising if we're acting worse than an animal, then we are born as an animal in the animal realm. Yeah, makes sense to me. Yeah, and so cyclic existence, yeah, one life after another, being reborn and again and again, is happening because of our afflictions and our karma. Yeah. And then once we're reborn, then we have the same old, because in all the realms, there's birth, there's aging, there's sickness. I don't think, well, eventually, even in the God realms, yes, their body fails them. And then there's death, and those are given. Yeah, once you have birth, yeah, the only way to avoid aging or sickness is to die in the next moment. If you keep on living, you're experiencing aging every single. We say, oh, somebody's growing up. Actually, they're aging every single moment. We're approaching death, and on the way, we get sick. And so those are things with our body. But then on a mental, emotional level, yeah, we don't get what we want. Yeah, we want different objects. We want people's approval. We want a good reputation. We want possessions and money and status. We want to hear good music, see pretty sights, smell baking, cookies. Yeah, or whatever you like, it is you like to eat. We want pleasant, yeah, we want a pleasant ambience. Is the room too cold? Is it too hot? Yeah. Are things smooth against our skin? Are they rough? Okay. So we're always, things are never quite the way we want them. Yeah. And so because things are not the way we want them, we revert to I want what I want when I want it. And if I don't get what I want, everybody's going to know that that's a problem because they are the problem of not giving me what I want. And so we wind up cycling, we do the same old actions under the influence of ignorance that create more and more karma. Okay. And that, are the fuel for one rebirth after the next, Okay. So when the first point in the 7 points talking about the preliminaries, this is what it's getting at, okay? To look at the situation we're in. And this is a bit sobering. Yeah, people often come to spiritual practice. They want to hear about light and love and bliss. Yeah, and instead they hear about birth, aging, sickness, death, self-centeredness, these kinds of things. I notice there's fewer people online than when we started the talk. Yeah, so there's 6 really diehard people that I can see. Maybe there's some others that I can't see. You're hiding your faces so you can get up and get a cup of coffee. Oh, somebody else came back. Now there's 7. 8. Oh, wow. Hey, welcome back. Yeah. Oh, 9. Oh, good. Oh, now my reputation. Yeah. So, and then there's probably a lot of people who just have their name. There better be a lot of people who just have their name or name. Okay. So, yeah, so we just continue this cycle. Yeah. So that's the first of the 7 points, the preliminaries. Look at the situation you're in. And it's a very sobering situation. Some people, then they look at that and then they just go, ah, especially when they hear about, aging and death, like, this is terrible. What's the meaning of my life? What a freak out, okay? And then they say, why is Buddha teaching this? It just makes me depressed. Yeah, I'm not coming back to Buddhist teachings anymore. They make me depressed. Aging, sickness, death. Yeah. But the teachings are not making us depressed. Our self-centeredness is making us depressed. Because our self-centeredness wants to hear about light and love and bliss. Yeah. It's like, I paid my money, give me light, love, and bliss. We're consumers. We come to the Dharma like consumers. Yeah, give me what I want. Otherwise, I'm not coming back and I'm not recommending you to anybody. Yeah. This is true, isn't it? Yeah. So, but Buddha says, actually, there's a lot of light and love and bliss to be experienced, but you have to change the way you think to get to it. It's not going to come from its own side to you. You have to create the causes. Yeah? And we go, what? Create the causes? I want to, the causes. Snap my finger and what I want should be there. No, you have to create virtuous causes. Oh, that's Sunday school, They told me to be a good little kid, and if I wasn't, I had to go confess. And if I did it again, they would hit me. And no, that's not what the Buddha is saying. The Buddha is saying that we know in our life that things happen because of causes. Yeah. It's just there's a whole system of cause and effect that we haven't really learned about yet. We know science tells us biological cause and effect, chemical cause and effect, physics, cause and effect. Yeah. Psychology, cause and effect. Yeah, government, cause and effect. We run our life by causes and effect. But the cause and effect system we don't understand is the ethical one. That the quality of our actions, the quality of our motivations has a big impact on the cause and the kind of cause we create. And, if we don't create the proper causes, but instead we create the causes that lead to suffering, then, we've done it to ourselves, as they say. So it means we have to change the way we act. To change the way we act, we have to change what's going on in our mind, because our body doesn't move and our mouth doesn't move until the mind moves. And very often, we do things and say things, and afterwards, have you ever had this? Thought to yourself, why in the world did I do that? That was so stupid to do. Why did I do it? Yeah. Well, that's the point. Look at what was going on in our mind. What was our motivation? Yeah. And sometimes it's hard for us to detect what our motivation is, because we're so used to just doing things without any self-awareness as our motivation. Yeah. So it takes time to, we usually have the microscope and the telescope for finding other people's faults. We can, if they're beyond our sight, we have the telescope, we'll find your faults. If you have little faults, we'll use our microscope and we'll find them that way. But we can't. We have to take that and reverse it so it becomes a mirror, so we can see what's going on in our own mind. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Now, some people grew up in families where they didn't talk so much about feelings. And so as a kid, you never got used to learning to identify what your feelings, what you were feeling, and what feeling motivated you. Yeah, because nobody in your family talked about it. At school, they don't talk about it very much. Yeah. And so then kind of figuring out now as an adult, what actually am I feeling, and how is it a pleasant feeling, an unpleasant feeling? What kind of emotions do I have right now responding to my feelings? It takes some time to become, to learn that about ourselves. Yeah. So this is also a big path of learning about ourselves. Yeah. It's amazing. We can learn all about the external universe, but what we live with 24/7, ourself, we're often out to lunch. We don't understand ourselves very well. Yeah. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Sometimes, you start seeing why you're doing what I'm doing. And then you realize, why? That's not a very good reason to do what I do. It's not bringing the happiness I want. Yeah. Why am I, saying those words? Because I'm angry. Why am I angry? Because I want happiness. And the world isn't giving me what I want. Does anger bring me happiness? No. Then why am I doing it? Good question. Why am I so angry? Why am I acting out of anger? Why do I keep doing it? Duh. Yeah. It's familiar. Yeah. Familiarity makes it comfortable. And because I hold, what is it in the back of our mind that you walk around the block and there's a pothole? Yeah. So every time you walk around the block, you step in the pothole, but you think next time you walk around, somebody else will have fixed it. And then you finally figure out, oh, I have to avoid the pothole, or I have to fix it. That's even better than avoiding it. Let me fix it so nobody else steps in it. Yeah. So it's really a process of learning about ourselves. And as we do, there's an incredible feeling of relief. Because all the techniques we did before to try and be happy didn't work. Now we're finding something that can calm our mind. And when our mind is calm, we don't do the same old stupid agios. Okay? Okay, that's first point. Okay, we'll start the second point. I don't know, we won't get through the whole thing. The second point starts out with it talks about how to generate the two bodhicittas. So there's conventional bodhicitta, which is what we usually mean when we talk about bodhicitta, the aspiration to become a Buddha in order to benefit all living beings. And ultimate bodhicitta, which is the wisdom realizing emptiness. Okay, so the two bodhicittas. So the first one that's discussed, in the main practice, they jump right in and start talking about emptiness. Okay, so the line says, having gained stability, that means in the preliminary practices, which we just covered, receive the secret teachings. So the secret teachings here are the teachings on emptiness and the teachings on equalizing and exchanging self with others, which we'll get to. So then the next line says, consider all phenomena as a dream. Okay, there's a lot to this. You don't just jump to seeing things as like a dream, but rather what this is talking about, when we talked about the self-grasping, not the self-centeredness, but the self-grasping, that thought that in terms of the I, the self, that says, I exist. Yeah. So let me ask you, that feeling of I, that I exist, I am here, is there a feeling that you exist because the causes and conditions for you existed? No, I don't need causes and conditions. I am here. Isn't that the way you feel? Yeah. You wake up in the morning, you don't say, oh, this is a composite phenomena made of many different parts brought together by causes and conditions. That's not your thought in the morning. Your first thought is, I. Second, want. Third, whatever, fill in the blank. Okay. So the way we think of ourselves, the I that we think we are, and the way we think we exist is completely upside down. Yeah? We feel like there's an independent, autonomous, self-instituting me who exists, who doesn't depend on anybody else to exist or anything else to exist. I am just here. Okay? But when we start to question what exactly is the I, yeah, what is it? We can't pinpoint it. Okay? First thing we think about, well, I'm my body. Are you your body? Which part of your body? My brain. I'm my brain. Yeah. So if people are their brains, that means when you love somebody, you love their brain. And if their brain, if you could, their brain is out on the table. Oh, you're so beautiful. I love you. Those gray folds are they just jazz me no end. You know? Yeah? Are people brains? No. Well, what is there another part of you that could be you? Yeah, on my heart. Thump, thump, thump. So that means, when they put in a stent or they do an open heart surgery, they take your heart out, Yeah, they take it out and they mess with it. Yeah. So that means when the surgeon, and everybody's taking your heart out, why don't they say, if they do heart surgery on me, why don't they say, oh, hi, Chodron, good to see you. You've been hiding inside your body so long. Yeah, we like you. What an attractive heart you are. But you need some repair. Let us put this stent in. It will solve your problems. Yeah, are you your heart? Yeah. Are you your heart? Okay, when we scan the body, we can't find anything in the body who we are. So then we say, okay, on my mind, I'm not sure mind exists because, science tells me mind is an emerging property of the brain. Okay, then I ask the question, what does emerging property of the brain mean? Well, it's like the example is how we started out as amoebas and then got more complicated bodies and, eventually, evolution and, we became monkeys and then, human beings. And next we will incarnate as AI computers. There's a gradual evolution here of the body. So, we emerged. Our body's an emergence property of, started out with amoebas. Yeah. Well, but the mind isn't an amoeba. So what did it emerge out of? Yeah, the only thing you can point to is a previous moment of consciousness. Yeah, meaning that there's previous lives, there's going to be future lives. Yeah, but we're not our mind either, because if we were our mind, which mind are we? The happy mind, the unhappy mind, the kind mind, the vicious mind, the content mind, the discontent mind. Which mind are we? The awake mind, the sleeping mind. Okay? We cannot isolate one mental state and say that is me. Yeah. So this I that we feel is there, that is something solid and real. When we really ask, what is it? We can't find anything that it is. Okay? Likewise, when we do a similar analysis with other people or with external objects, when we ask, what really is this? We can't really find anything. Okay? So here are my glasses. Yeah, oh, here are my glasses. Everybody knows that. What really are my glasses? Yeah. First of all, what is my about these glasses? I don't see my name written on it. But even if my name's written on it, does that make them mine? Well, what really are the glasses? Yeah. Are they, what is this called? The part that hooks onto your ear? Yeah. And the frame here, and the lens, and the things for your nose. I'm sure these all have technical terms. Yeah, but what are my glasses? Yeah. When you look, you can't identify. You say, well, the whole thing are your glasses. Yeah, but the whole thing is just a collection of parts. And if I want to know what something is, I've got to find it exclusively, and I can't do that. Okay, so things, when we search for what they are, we cannot find them. Does that mean that things do not exist? No. Yeah. If you say, oh, I can't find my glasses don't exist. Well, that's what you say when you're wearing them and you can't find them. Where did my glasses go? Somebody took them. Yeah, they don't exist. No, these are your glasses. So on a conventional level, yeah, we have glasses. On a conventional level, there are people. There's a self. Yeah. On an ultimate level, when we ask what really are the glasses, what really is the person, we can't identify anything that we can put a circle around and say that's it. Okay? So when it says see things as like a dream, what this is meaning is like the glasses. The glasses appear to me to be an external object that exists by its own nature without any relationship to me or my mind or anything, And even the self that I feel I am, yeah, when I'm asking who am I am asking who I am. Which one is me? The one who's asking who I am, or the one that is the one I'm looking for? But the one I'm looking for is the one I am. But when I'm looking for who I am. I'm looking, you get quite confused. You know what I'm talking about? If you've had that, who in the world is doing this analysis? What are these glasses? What we're getting at is things appear superficially, they appear to exist by their own nature, out there, objective. But that appearance is false, because when we analyze, we see that there's nothing that is one thing out there, independent, that is my glasses or is me, but there's a collection of parts, and dependent on all those different parts, coming each from their own set of causes and conditions, assembling together in a certain fashion. Because to make the glasses, you can't just put the lenses on the table and the frame somewhere else, and you have to arrange it together in a certain way. And then they still aren't glasses, because I can't say, what are my glasses? Because we haven't decided together that we're going to call these things glasses, that they are an individual object, and we need a way to communicate about them. But once we call these glasses, then we're fooled, and we think there's something in these causes and conditions, in these parts, that is the glasses. So when it says see things as a dream, what it's meaning is that the glasses have a false appearance. They appear to exist objectively, unrelated to parts, unrelated to causes and conditions, unrelated to our mind that gives them a name and that conceives of them as an object. But that is a false appearance. So it's like a dream, because when you dream, you think the things that you dream about are real, but they aren't. They're just dream objects. Yeah? When you had a dream and, oh, I got a Ferrari, hot red Ferrari, just what I wanted, I'm 45 in the middle of my middle life crisis. I want a hot red Ferrari. Yeah. You get your hot red Ferrari and you think, now, I've made it. But that's a false appearance. If you dream about it, did you really get a Ferrari? No, there's absolutely no Ferrari. Green, blue, red, doesn't matter. Yeah, you didn't have one. But when you were dreaming, it was like, oh, now I got it, look. Okay, so in the same way, in our waking hours, things appear to us to be real, objective things, but that's a false appearance. They are not dreams. Okay, they are not illusions, but they are like dreams, like illusions, in terms of there being a false appearance, appearing one way, existing in another way. Okay, so the first line in the thought training, when it says, wake up, computer, it says, consider all phenomena as a dream. That's what we're talking about. Okay, then the next line within that, the second point has many lines. The next line says, examine the nature of unborn awareness. So here, the object you're analyzing is the mind. What really is my mind? Yeah, and you keep coming up with, I can't find it. So that's what we call, whatever we analyze, we call and we can't find, we say it's empty. The empty doesn't mean it's non-existent. It is empty of an objective way of existing. Okay? So you examine the nature of the mind, unborn awareness, that means the mind. Yeah, can't find it. It's empty of any kind of objective existence. Then you look at emptiness itself, and you see also, too, you can't find it when you analyze. Yeah. So that line says the remedy itself is released in its own place. So the remedy is seeing the emptiness of phenomena. Then when you meditate on the emptiness of emptiness, you see it too is empty of any kind of objective existence, but it arises dependently. And then the next line, place your meditation on the nature of the foundation of all, the essence of the path. So here, foundation of all, another one of these words that has different meanings in different contexts. This is not the Chitta context. Yeah, it's not talking about a foundation consciousness, although it's the same term. Here, the foundation of all refers to emptiness itself. Yeah, because emptiness, we talked about this in the teachings on the Heart Sutra, okay, that because things are empty, they exist. If emptiness didn't exist, phenomena wouldn't exist. But it's not that emptiness exists first and then phenomena came out of emptiness. It's the object and its emptiness arose at the same time. You have the object, that's the conventional relative way of relating to it. You have its ultimate nature, which is the emptiness. Okay, so then you do the analysis to come to a correct view of emptiness. And then when the next one, when it says, place your meditation on the nature of the foundation of all, the essence of the path. Okay, you're meditating on the emptiness of emptiness. Yeah, the foundation of all here is emptiness. Then the next line says, in the meditation break, be a creator of illusion. So this is coming back to seeing everything like a dream, because you've done your analysis, you've had your direct perception of emptiness. That was the previous line. Yeah. Now you're coming back out of your meditation, and there's the whole phenomenal world. Yeah. And it's like a dream, it's like an illusion, because it appears to have its own nature, its own inherent essence, but it doesn't. Okay, so false appearance, like a dream, like an illusion. But things do exist. If things didn't exist, what's going on right now? Yeah, I'm perceiving you, you're perceiving me. My glasses have become famous. We can see all these things. They exist, but they don't exist in the way we think they do. Okay. So then the next part of the first branch, okay, is generating conventional bodhicitta. But we're at the time where we're supposed to stop. But how about a few minutes if you have questions or comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you think the karma that people like Donnie and Musk advance of creating for themselves in this lifetime will result in an animal rebirth?
Personally, I think it might result in a realm of rebirth even lower than the animal realm.
Oh, good.
No, don't rejoice at somebody's suffering.
Okay, sorry.
This is where the practice of compassion is so good. Yeah, we don't want to be people who rejoice at other people's suffering. We say, oh, yeah, now they're getting it. But just because they suffer, they're not learning from their mistake. They're just suffering, getting angrier, more self-centered. They're just like us. When we suffer, do we ever say, what did I do? Yeah, we do. What did I do to deserve this? That's how we say it. Meaning, it's unfair. What did I do to deserve this? Yeah, when I misbehaved as a kid, my mom was, what did I do to deserve a kid like you? Ask Dad, you know. um, yeah, but we don't learn from our mistakes. Yeah, if we were smart, and this is what the Buddhist teachings are trying to do, is when we have some suffering and we say, what did I do to deserve this? Then you look at your self-centered mind and your self-grasping ignorance, and you really examine them, and you can get some clue of the kind of actions we did in a previous life that left the karmic seeds on our mind stream that are now ripening in this experience that we don't like. Okay? So, but we don't learn. Ordinary beings don't learn. Donnie and Muskie and, Vladdy, they're not going to learn just by having a bad rebirth. Yeah? What we want is for them to learn in the same way that we want ourselves to learn, so that instead of creating the cause for more bad rebirths, we can all start creating the cause for good rebirths, and then create the causes for liberation and the causes for full awakening. Okay? So don't rejoice. Yeah.
If it's any consolation, I do Tonglen meditation at the center every Tuesday, and when we get to the enemy's part, I bring them in every time. I take turns bringing them in.
Yep.
Yeah, I do.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's the way to do it. And then the next step is you appreciate them, because they're giving you the opportunity to learn Tonglen. And you appreciate them because they're giving you the opportunity to overcome your anger and your dislike. Yeah. So you have to even take it a step further, not just Tonglen, but thank you so much for helping me see, my goof ups, yeah, my afflictions, and then you begin to see enemies as teachers. Yeah, because they're teaching us things, because, okay, now I got to tell you my story. Okay, the people here, you've heard it so many times before, but it's a good story. You want to hear it again, don't you? Don't you? Don't you? Glad. I'm glad. Okay, so I was a baby nun. I was only ordained maybe 2 years. And Lama Geshe and Lama Zopa said, oh, it would be so good if you worked in the Italian center, and sent me off to work in Italy. Okay, and I wound up having 2 jobs. One was I was the SBC, the program coordinator, and the second I was the Gegu, the disciplinarian of the monks. Now, nobody told me that to be the disciplinarian of the macho Italian monks. You had to be a Buddha. So I didn't know that was a qualification for the job. I don't think Lama and Rinpoche, they knew I wasn't either. But, they wanted me to learn. So they sent me there. Well, aside from learning about macho Italian monks, and I can tell you all the things I don't like about them, let's make a nice big category, put everybody in it, whether they have those traits or not. Let's put them in a category. Yeah, because then the world is nice and simple. Yeah. If you're macho, if you're Italian, and if you're a monk, I know who you are. That's it. I hate you. Well, Lama Zopa wanted to make me question that because they made me miserable. I don't hate them for no reason. I'm not a hateful, angry person, really. It's what they did to me. They were so mean to me. They did this and they made fun of me. They stole the work that I was working on. They called me names. They told me I was the worst thing that ever happened to the Dharma Center. I was trying to help them be good monks, and they would say no whenever I told them what they needed to do. No. Sometimes when I told them to get up in the morning to go to morning practice, they didn't even say no. They just rolled over and went back to sleep. When I was trying to get them to follow Lama's orders, because Lama said everybody had to come to morning practice. Okay, so I had a really rough time with the macho Italian monks, and there's other people in that know them. They agree with me. Yeah. So at one point I was miserable. Lama was coming to, he was on the phone. Somehow I wound up talking to him. And I said, oh, Lama, these people are so miserable to me. I didn't say it like that because I'm a nice, sweet nun. I said it in a very dignified way. But inside, yeah. And Lama, can I leave this center? Can I leave the hell realms? And Lama said, we'll discuss it, dear. I'll be there in 6 months. I thought, how am I going to make it? Well, they say follow your teacher's instructions. So I stayed until Lama came. And then he said, okay, you can leave. Oh, great, fantastic. So I went back I wound up going back to India after some time, to Nepal, to Kopan. And this was old Kopan. I haven't been to Kopan since 86. So I think all the buildings that were there when I went there in the 70s are no longer there. But anyway, Rinpoche's room and Lama's room were on the top of the building. And then there was like outside, the roof was where you could sit and have tea. So I was having tea with Rinpoche on the roof. Oh, the sun is shining. The valley beneath is green. This was in the 70s. It's not so green now. It's very built up, I hear. Drinking tea with my teacher, bliss, okay? And then Rinpoche says to me, who's kinder to you, the Buddha and he picked out this one, the one who was the director of the center, who was really mean to me. We'll call him Sam. That's not his real name. You know, who's kinder to you, the Buddha or Sam? Say again, Rinpoche? Yeah. What's he talking about? So I said, well, the Buddha's kinder than Sam. I mean, Sam had kind, forget it. Yeah. Buddha, yes, definitely. Yeah. Buddha taught me the path. Yeah. I'm so grateful to the Buddha Dharma Sangha that Buddha's kinder. And Rinpoche then proceeded to give me a teaching, kind of like, okay, kid, Sam is kinder to you than the Buddha. Come again? Sam is kinder to you than the Buddha. Why? Because if you want to become a Buddha, you need to practice the 6 perfections. What's the third perfection? It's fortitude or patience, the ability to deal with harm, with things you don't like, without falling apart. And remember, she said, you cannot practice fortitude with the Buddha because the Buddha is kind with you. You need enemies to practice fortitude. Yeah? The perfection of patience, perfection of fortitude. You need Sam to practice this. You know, that was not what I wanted to hear. You know, what I wanted to hear is, yeah, Sam's a difficult person. Yeah, and I know everybody in the whole organization complains about him. He's a very difficult person. He even drives me crazy. I wanted, Rinpoche to say, yeah. So I know what you went through. You were there for 21 months. I know you didn't count them like beads on a mala, but you were there 21 months and you really did your best to endure how you were treated so awfully. That's what I wanted to hear. That's not what Rinpoche said. He said, Sam is kinder to you than the Buddha. Okay? So that's what I'm passing on to you, Georgia. Yeah, is you got to see the person that you don't like as kind because they're giving you the opportunity to practice fortitude and patience. Yeah, we need enemies. And when you need your enemy and you get everything you can out of your enemy, which means that you actually learn how to practice fortitude and how not to get so ruffled all the time, then your enemy has become your friend because they've helped you on the path. Yeah. So, with that, what? Oh, there's another question. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I know that you all study nonviolent communication, and when I study nonviolent communication, there's a big focus on feelings and needs. So I've been struggling to do the feelings and needs with the idea of what you just explained. That the people driving us nuts are doing us a favor. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. What you're doing is flipping the situation. Yeah. You're driving me nuts. It's all your fault. Yeah. What am I feeling? Pain. misunderstood, not appreciated, targeted for something I didn't do, unfair, unjust, that's what I'm feeling. All of that is coming from my self-centered mind, isn't it? Yeah? What am I needing? I need respect, I need understanding, I need empathy, I need compassion. And I'm expecting you to give that to me. I have to give myself some empathy and understanding and compassion and love. I have to learn to accept myself for who I am. Give myself a break. It doesn't mean I'm perfect. I had a role in creating this bad situation too. You can't put everything in any situation. You can't put everything on one party. So, I have to accept myself. I'm not perfect. Oh, gee. It's taken me how many years to recognize this? And I'm not perfect. That doesn't mean I'm awful. It doesn't mean I hate myself. It doesn't mean I'm inferior. It doesn't mean I'm hopeless and helpless and hapless. It just means that I have afflictions and there are antidotes to the afflictions, and I can practice those antidotes. And I can transform my mind, and that's what I'm going to do. Okay?
So what I'm hearing you say is that it's not that feelings and needs aren't there. It's just that we can give ourselves the feeling. We can give ourselves the empathy for the feelings and needs, not expecting others to give. That's okay.
Yeah, it's nice when others empathize. It's nice, but the first person that has to give us empathy is ourselves. And in the sense of, okay, I'm unhappy. Being unhappy is not going to kill me. Why am I unhappy? Because I'm not getting what I want. And I'm back to that being that little kid. I want what I want when I want it. The universe owes it to me. Give me what I want. And it's like, come on, children. And you learn to laugh at yourself. When they talk about the inner child, I'm going to flip all this talk about the inner child. They're talking about the inner brat. They always present it. People of my generation, the big thing was get in touch with the inner child, the one who is in so much pain, that doesn't feel understood, that nobody appreciates, that didn't get to go to the baseball game, that didn't get to go to the fashion show, that got reprimanded for what my brother did or what my sister did, and so they usually teach it as, you pamper that one, you kind of indulge it, and what thought training is saying is that's a product of self-centered mind, and self-centered mind is your enemy. It's not your friend. It's saying that other person, who said those awful things to you that you think are the cause of your suffering, they're only the cooperative condition. They're not the cause. The cause is the self-grasping ignorance. The cause is the self-centered mind. Those are the things I have to work against if I want to be happy. Okay? So Yeah, that, when you first hear NVC, it's very helpful just to do on the level that Marshall talks about it, because often we're not aware of our feelings and we're not aware of our needs. So just practicing it that way is very useful to become more aware of, what am I feeling and what am I needing at this time? Yeah. And then what the Buddha does, and what Shantideva does, is then they take it one step further and say, the cause of your misery is not outside. Yeah, the cause is inside. The cause is your negative karma. The cause are your wrong views, your misinterpretations. Those are the real causes of why you're unhappy. Yeah, start looking at those. Yeah, it does not say you're bad because you have them. The Buddha never said, oh, you're self-centered, oh, you're so bad. Okay, so this is different than maybe what we heard as kids, either from our parents or even from the religion we grew up with. If you're selfish, you're bad. Yeah, and we got that imprinted. Yeah, so that's why we pretend we aren't selfish, but it comes out in all sorts of other, manipulative, deceiving, harsh ways. Okay. But what the Buddha's doing is saying, look, we're looking deeper, because if it's always outside, we're never going to be happy, because we can never make the world be what we want it to be. Yeah. I have needs. Yeah. Not just, I have feelings. I have needs. I tell you what my needs are. Is that a guarantee that you're going to meet them? No. No. Yeah. And so in NVC, you're supposed to do it with not without expecting. You're giving the other person an option. You're not supposed to expect that they meet your need. But I followed the NVC method. I said my needs. I didn't blame you, even though it's your fault. But I said my feelings. I didn't blame you. I said my needs. Meet them. Okay. So we come back to that. Oh dear, my self-centered thought again. Okay. Is that making? But that does not mean we are bad people. That's very, very important. It doesn't mean we're failures. It doesn't mean we're hopeless. If we were failures and hopeless, the Buddha would not have wasted his time teaching us. He would not have turned the wheel of Dharma if we were hopeless basket cases. Yeah? So you can't say that about yourself. Yeah? Okay? We have potential. That's why the Buddha taught the Dharma. But there's some serious realigning of things that we need to do in the way we think. Does that make some sense? Okay. Okay, so let's dedicate.